Hello and welcome to Songs for the Struggling Artist, the blogcast. This is episode 488. My name is Emily Rainbow Davis. Welcome to the blogcast. I'm going to read you a blog and then sing you a song, and that is how this goes. So this blog is about Philippe Gaulier, who is a clown teacher. He just passed away, and I'll tell you all about it in the blog. Why don't I just get into it? It is called A Clown Teacher Exits. If you felt a bit of a tremor in the fabric of the universe last week, you're probably a clown. One of the most influential clown teachers made his exit, and more people than I would have expected felt the impact of his loss. I never studied with Philippe Gaulier, but I studied with several teachers who did. And I have a lot of friends and colleagues who did as well. I feel as though I had a relationship with Gaulier, despite never having met him myself. I guess I'm a second-generation Gaulier clown. I think there are a lot of benefits to being the second-generation student. I am similarly a second-generation student of the Feldenkrais method. I never met Moshe Feldenkrais, never got to take classes with him or have a lesson, but most of my teachers did. Most of my teachers knew him well and told and tell stories about him from their firsthand experiences. My experience of Feldenkrais has been mediated by his students. They have a sense of when to do what he meant rather than what he did or said. They follow his philosophy more than his human behavior. As a human, Feldenkrais was often contradictory. He talked about creating a safe environment with gentle instructions so as to speak to the parasympathetic nervous system, and then he'd turn around and shout at his students. He didn't always practice what he preached. He was quixotic and unpredictable. In videos, he has often reminded me of a clown. I love that about him, of course. But honestly, I think I would not have been pleased to be his student. I think the shouting would have been too much for me, and I wouldn't have stuck with it. This is the same reason that I never went to study with Gaulier, despite how seriously I took the craft of clowning. I heard enough stories to know that I would not have thrived in his class. I loved to hear the stories of his cutting remarks to students, but never had any desire to receive those remarks myself. But as the second generation, I could receive some of his wisdom via kinder, safer teachers. My first clown teacher used a technique that I have found myself using in my own clown teaching, which is to offload any possible cruelties to the guy who came before us. Instead of saying the difficult thing, I could say, Gaulier would say. Now, I do not actually know what Gaulier would say, but having a mean old clown teacher to refer to comes in very handy. Part of clown training is about a relationship with authority, so having a legendary clown teacher to blame any authoritarianism on is helpful. Gaulier's teaching was controversial. He could be cruel and cutting. He's reported to have been particularly mean to women. He was not a fan of feminists. I would not have fared well with him. But with a protective layer between us, I find him hilarious, even the mean stuff somehow. I'm incredibly grateful he taught the people he taught because they taught me. And behind them was this idiosyncratic drum-beating weirdo with, for whatever reason, an incredible influence on the culture. In reading his obituary, I discovered that many people I admire had been his students. And I recognize in the ones that I know personally a beautiful complicité that was a hallmark of his teaching. It explains why it has always felt kind of sparky and fun to be with those people, even when working on a tragedy. Gaulier cultivated a sense of play that is often missing in commercial theater. It's interesting to see Gaulier's influence in retrospect. To realize his spirit and ideas were running through people and works of art I loved all this time. It should have been obvious, but of course complicité and told by an idiot and improbable were all deeply influenced by Gaulier. If I'd realized that at the time, I might have made myself go to Gaulier's school after all. But I think I was better off as a second-generation student. It's great to study with a great man, I'm sure. But I think I'm stronger for having studied with his kinder, gentler students. I only discovered one of my teachers had been a student of Gaulier's when he was quoted in the news about him. This teacher of mine had an ability to draw characters and moments and performances out of me that I'd never experienced before. He made me feel like a genius. I would never have guessed he was one of Gaulier's students. He was almost like an anti-Gaulier. He wouldn't tell us we were shit. He would encourage us to get in the shit. That is, to get a good performance, we had to get ourselves into trouble. His delight in helping us to do that was palpable. His warmth was extraordinary. Almost all of my clown teachers had an extraordinary warmth. They still made a lot of students cry, but they did it with love. Clown work feels like soul work to me. Silly soul work, but soul work regardless. And it's hard to do that without some tears. Gaulier's influence on British theater is profound. It's not just the theater companies that were influenced by him, but many, many famous people. The obituaries all brag about Sacha Baron Cohen, Roberto Benigni, Emma Thompson, Helena Bonham Carter, Geoffrey Rush, and Rachel Weisz all studying with him. But you might notice that there aren't any Americans on that list. Only a handful of Americans managed to study with him, and I think that's one of the reasons why I am mostly bored by American theater. Gaulier's students follow one rule and one rule only, as far as I know, and that is, don't be boring. In general, I think the American theater could really have benefited from a grumpy French clown shouting at them to get off the stage. One of the things I've noticed about the people I know who trained with Gaulier is that they never take their stage time for granted. They are listening to the audience, and they are ready to try something different the minute they sense the audience losing interest. There is a lovely humility. Those students have had a drum banged at them when they were failing, and they know the drum might bang again at any moment, if only in their minds. Sometimes I wish I could bring a drum into American theaters and shout, "Get off this stage! You're boring us!" But I can't even afford to even go into most theater anymore. Nonetheless, go in and get kicked out for clown policing. In any case, we missed something here in America. There are a few of us who learned from the people who learned from the source, and we're feeling the waves of loss from those planets that orbited Gaulier's sun. I'm sorry he's gone. But he will live on as the mythic, unreasonable tyrant I can blame any authoritarianism on. I know how valuable it is to have a strong provocateur in a room full of clowns. The sterner the teacher, the more fun it is to rebel. I think we Americans could use some lessons in how to deal with quixotic, authoritarian men at the top of the heap. I'd like to imagine that that is what Gaulier was trying to train his students to do. He was born in Nazi-occupied Paris, after all. But maybe he was just a grumpy old clown. I don't know. I'm a second-generation clown, and all the stories have always just been stories to me. R.I.P., you beautiful idiot. Complimentary. I ended up reading, 6 obituaries of Gaulier and lots of articles about him. And I watched a film of one of his early performances and the documentary about his life. I went in deep. I feel like I learned more about Gaulier in his death than I knew about him in his life. I mean, I had all of the stories from my teachers and fellow clowns, but I feel like I got a real fuller picture at this moment, which was a real pleasure. It was nice to kind of lean back into a clown world. I ended up discovering a clown podcast by a guy whose clown show I saw in I want to say mid-90s or something, and who's still going strong in clown world, which is kind of sweet and surprising. And I don't know, there's a whole kind of clown universe that I have not been paying attention to in the last handful of years. So it was nice to step into clown land for a little bit. And also just to realize like how many people I know. I did not know. I feel like normally you'd hear the stories, but some people don't tell the stories. Maybe they're so scarred, or it's just, it's held too close, maybe too dear. But yeah, I was surprised to learn so many people I know and love had spent time with him. I feel like, the ones who were a little bit older than me are the ones that I didn't know the most, because their journey with him happened before I met them, so long before I met them. So it was a lovely surprise to discover, that this is in their back pocket, in their realm of experience, and I did not know. I wish I had, because then I would have asked them about it. I still can. Good news. I'll be asking everyone about Gaulier for the foreseeable future. So, what song do I have for you? Well, I've already played for you the song that I wrote for Clown on the Candle-In, so you'll have to go back for that one. But that is definitely a clown song, but I've already done it. And I thought about doing my clown's favorite song, which is Shaggy's It Wasn't Me. But she doesn't know the words, and I don't feel that I can do it any particular justice. That is a live, in-person experience where I get my potato that sounds like it's an egg shaker, but it's in the shape of a potato, and I will attempt to perform It Wasn't Me. But that is for a live experience, I feel. So it's not It Wasn't Me. I did look up songs about clowns and remembered that there was a clown song that I really loved on Brutal Youth. It's a Elvis Costello album. And I couldn't remember what it was for a second. I was like, I know it's like the most clowny song. Like, it really speaks to my little clown heart. And it's called Clown Strike. And I'd forgotten. And there's a lot of clowns going on strike is not necessarily what this post is about or what Gaulier was about. But there's some really core clown concepts in this song. There's a bit about being afraid of failure, and confronting failure is 80% of what clown is. It's just failing and learning how to be in a space of failure and rising up through the morass of difficulty. So that little section feels like it's very attuned to what the clown experience is. And it's just, I don't know, there's something about it. I can't put my finger on all of it, but that is one moment that feels like, yes, that's about being a clown. And also there's some joy in the idea of a clown strike. The clowns throwing down their tools and striking. It feels good. It feels like the clowns are in solidarity with unions around the world, and I don't know, I love it. So I'm going to play that for you in just a moment. Meanwhile, thank you so much for listening. If you like this podcast, please tell someone about it. Review, subscribe. Anything you can do in a podcast app for any podcast, do it for us. Me. It's just me. Only one. Me and my clown? I don't know. Do it. And if you'd like to support this podcast, you can, with money, that is, you can do that at patreon.com/Emily R. Davis. There's also Ko-fi. There's PayPal. You could do a paid subscription on Substack. All of those links are in the show notes. And if you are on a artist supporting platform, tell me about it and I'll join. And meanwhile, mostly, I thank you for listening. It is very lovely to have you here. So, anything else I should tell you about Clown Strike? I don't think so. Here it is. It's a Elvis Costello song from 1994, Clown Strike. She'll fix you with an iron cross and cover you up with petals and hang you up with some amber beads and 4 or 5 precious metals. And in that black flamingo chair you'll sit among her trophies and pray to be abandoned till you don't know what hope is. But there's one thing that I had to keep inside because I was shaking. Why don't you get some pride? There was a clown strike and the clowns threw down their tools. But you don't have to play so hard, and I'm nobody's fool. You don't have to go so far, 'cause I love you as you are. The big top is deserted now, and the circus girl rehearses. She knows how to turn their heads and not fall between 2 horses. But all that seems a simple step if only I were able to love you like I want to do and not by some times table. But there's one thing that I had to keep inside because I was shaking. Why don't you get some pride? There was a clown strike and the clowns threw down their tools. But you don't have to play so hard, and I'm nobody's fool. You don't have to go so far, 'cause I love you as you are. And it's pandemonium for the humble and the mighty. You don't have to tumble for me. Even a clown knows when to strike. Tell me what you want of me, or are you terrified of failure? Put on a superstitious face behind all this paraphernalia. We're not living in a masquerade where you only have 3 wishes. It isn't easy to see in a lifetime of mistaken kisses. But there's one thing that I had to keep inside because I was shaking. Why don't you get some pride? There was a clown strike and the clowns threw down their tools. And you don't have to play so hard, and I'm nobody's fool. You don't have to go so far, 'cause I love you as you are. And it's pandemonium for the humble and the mighty. You don't have to tumble for me. Even a clown knows when to strike.